Online Safety and Security Tips. Presented by Deanne Gagne and Johanna Mercado at We Belong Here, Rhode Island's 2024 Statewide Self-Advocacy Conference.
My name is Johanna, but everyone just calls me Jo. Super easy. I work for BHDDH. I am the communications lead for DD. We just started, and in June it will be my 1-year anniversary with DD. And hopefully you, like we said before, briefly before this started to record, we've been changing some of the stuff that we're doing. But today, what we're doing is Deanne and I are going to be talking about internet safety. And so again, my name is Johanna. In a different life, I am an academic librarian and I like to do nerdy things. And so that's why this is sort of my bread and butter. I'm kind of good at teaching people how to do internet safety. Deanne, would you like to introduce yourself?
I will gladly introduce myself. My name is Deanne Gagne, and I am one of the coordinators of Advocates in Action. I've been doing that for 20 years now.
Very cool. I just met Deanne and she sounds like a very lovely person. And I'm very, very excited to be doing this with her. She's very, very sweet. So this presentation again is called Internet Safety. So on the screen, there are 3 images. The first one is of 2 people navigating the internet, one on a laptop. The second image is of 2 people with disabilities using different technological tools, such as an iPad or a cell phone. And the third photo is of 2 people using laptops trying to change settings.
I didn't have.
Deanne, did you want to go to the next, Cool. So on the screen, there's an image of a hidden password and lock. These are tips. So you should try to never share your passwords, banking information, your social media username and passwords or address online. Sharing information about your relationships online, like your mom's name or pet's name, because they can be used to figure out answers to your security questions and guess your passwords. Diane, you're up.
And the other thing I just want to mention is that you don't want to give out your phone number. You don't want to give out any photos. I know it's really tempting sometimes to be like, oh, this is somebody I want to get to know, so I'll send them a picture. No. So you just want to be very careful who you're sending that information to. We all want to make friends. We all want to do, we want that connection, but we don't necessarily need to jump into it right away. So.
Absolutely. Another tip, Diane, did you want to read where it says keep your passwords in a safe space?
Oh, okay. I don't see that. Hold on 1 sec.
Oh, no worries. It says keep your passwords in a safe place. You can share your passwords with one trusted person who may need to access information you are not able to. So these, so sometimes it's hard. I know I forget my passwords. And constantly, I have a lot of stuff going on and I forget. So sometimes you can put them in your phone under notes, or you can give them to your trusted safe person to remember or remind you in case something happens, and you can't access something and they need access to it.
I would also, to add to that, I would also encourage that there are actually, and I think you said it, Joe, is that there are apps that allow you to have all your passwords in one safe place, but you just have to look for it. And don't be doing passwords like 1, 2, 3.
Yes. We're all tempted to make them super easy, but now they're requiring special characters, caps, small lowercase, and they don't actually, sometimes they will identify if you're using your name. And they'll say, nope, that's not a valid password. So we have to get creative sometimes. A thing that helps is if you think of a sentence. For example, if I said, I have 4 kids and a dog, I would use the letter of the first letter of each word, like IH, 4, and then 4 would be the number 4. And so that's my password. So if I remember that I have 4 kids and 1 dog, then that is actually, it looks weird to other people, but you know what it means. And so sometimes that's a really nice little quirky tip to help you with the next next time you have to create a password.
Yeah.
The next slide, please. So what we're going to do today is talk about internet safety. On the screen, we have two images, one with two people surrounded by Wi-Fi sign, security symbol, and a cell phone. The other image is of a person on a laptop with internet security symbols around such as Wi-Fi, password, and lock. And in general, when we're talking about internet safety, lots of individuals and people like to use the internet. The internet is a good for looking for information, reading about the news, using websites like Facebook to stay in touch with friends. The internet can help us not feel alone if we do not get the chance to meet people or leave the house. It's often as we would like. The internet is also a great tool to stay connected with friends and family. It also helps us with great information that we need. And like we learned earlier today, it helps us with kind of showing some of the things that we do, such as art. Most of the time, it's a very safe to use the internet, and people do not have a problem. But sometimes people can be victims of crime, and we like to call those cyber crimes or being scammed. An example of being scammed is when someone on the internet pretends to be someone that they're not, and then they might try to get money from you, and that's always not a fun thing to experience. Deanne?
Yeah, so we will be sharing some helpful tips to help you stay safe when you're on social media or on Facebook, because everybody likes Facebook and Instagram. This includes tips that will help that will help scams protect you to protect you to I'm giving you some information that will help you to stay safe. And then you'll have a chance to kind of talk about it and share your experiences. Did I miss?
No, you did great. It was awesome.
Right.
The next slide is tips on how to stay safe online and on social media, part 2. So some of the really tricky things about this is that we get emails all the time. And sometimes when we get emails, we're checking our email and scrolling through social media. How do we make sure and know that the trusted links that we get before we click them? And one way to do that is to tell if a link is safe or not is if you take your mouse and you hover over it. So if this was my inbox and I hovered over Hulu on top, this is what would pop up. And you can copy and paste that email address and put it into your Google browser, like when you search for Google, and when you hit enter, typically it'll show up a bunch of things. So if the results say it's from Hulu, then you know it's safe. But if it's not from Hulu, then you know this is probably a scam. I probably shouldn't click on this, and just delete it. Don't even click on it. When you are in your email, again, make sure to check for the preview link to make sure it matches the site that it should be from. And again, you can verify it by doing a very simple Google search. Deanne?
Yeah. So if you get an email and you're not ask you to log in, it's safer to not click the login the email, and instead go to the brand's official website. So I have done this before where I've seen like, yeah, it has a sale, right? And so instead of just clicking that link, I'll go ahead and just be like, okay, I'll go to the Gap.
So the next one that we have is tips on how to stay safe online in social media, part 3. Use only secure public Wi-Fi networks. Here on screen, you'll see sometimes when we're going to go for our Wi-Fi on our iPhones or our smartphones, we'll see here that we have a list of networks. And oftentimes if we're out in public, we want Wi-Fi. And for whatever reason, our internet service providers isn't working. And so we're trying to just connect. I know I panic and I can't live without my phone. So if I don't have the internet, I get really, really anxious. So I will sometimes go into an unsecured network, and you'll see that here. So on the screen, what you see is you have a few images. It's an image of an iPhone networking where it lists a couple of networks with padlocks, which means secured networks, and unsecured networks here. And there are two images, one of a lock that's unlocked with a warning caution sign, and another image of a padlock with lock and Wi-Fi. Deanne, did you want to give the definitions?
Yeah, so the definitions are, so when unsecure Wi-Fi is, you know, you don't see that little lock there, like it's kind of like the lock is kind of broken, so that's how you know it's not secure. And then the Wi-Fi that is secure has a lock. So unsecured public Wi-Fi means an unlocked Wi-Fi, and does not need a password to use. So when you go to a cafe or whatever, and you have that public Wi-Fi, anybody can join, right? But when you need a password to get in, that's how you know it's secure. So it is less safe. And secured Wi-Fi, also, as I said, you need a password, and it's public versus private. So like when you need a password, it's private. It means no one else can get in it. So that's how you know it's private. Does that make sense?
Yes. So anytime that we are looking for a Wi-Fi to go into, we want to look for something that's has a lock on it. One of the cool tips that we like to give everyone is if you're at a coffee shop, or if you're at a store, or you're out anywhere, the best thing to do is to ask the doctor's office, hey, can I have your Wi-Fi password? You go to a coffee shop, hey, can I have your password for your Wi-Fi? Most times, places like doctor's offices and restaurants and coffee shops will have a Wi-Fi secured, meaning with the lock, for the public, and they have like a very general password, like password 1, and they will give it to you so that you know you can use it safely. If you have to, 100% have to use an internet access without the padlock, an unsecured one, the best thing to do is to not open anything that's private. Don't go to your bank account. Don't go to Google. Don't go to your Gmail. Don't go and log on to your Instagram. If it's already open, that's different, but don't put anything private, because the people that aren't very safe online are looking for you to do that and check and take your information from you. So the best way to think about it is, if it has a lock, it's good to go. If it doesn't have a lock, you probably shouldn't use it.
Right.
The next slide, technical. All right, cool. The next one is tips on how to stay safe online and in social media. On screen, you'll have two images, one with HTTP and the other one with, it says HTTPS. These are basically part of our email addresses, right? When you type an email address in our browser, it says HTTP, and you type it like www.google.com. Well, I'm here to tell you that if it has an S, that means it's secure. So anytime you see HTTPS, that means that it's that lock. In our previous slide, we talked about lock is safe. Safety is secure. Snug as a bug is kind of the way I think about it. So if it's snug as a bug, if it's safe and secure, then I'm going to use it. If you're shopping online, you should always look for the S. Always look for addresses and websites and things of that nature that have an S on it, because then you know that they're going to protect and keep your information, your bank account, your passwords, your username, all of that safe. If it doesn't have an S, then you're at risk to having your information stolen from you, and other people might use it. Deanne?
Yep. So I mentioned shopping tips before. Online shopping involves providing personal information such as your bank account or credit card information before checking out double check that the site you're on is secure. Cyber criminals are always looking for ways to get a hold of your credit card and bank information. And I have a thing to add to that. So we have, when you go shopping, you can now save your information into a browser and it will bring it up automatically. And most cyber experts say that you should never do that. And I know we're all guilty of it because it's easy, right? But you should never just save your information because then it makes it easier for the next person to get that information.
Yes, that's a very good tip and it's very helpful. Sometimes we want to purchase something that looks very great and we can't find it anywhere and we're going to go to the site, but we risk having our stuff hacked. And it's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to many of us here. And then you have to freeze your accounts and hopefully the bank will maybe give it back to you, but that's not always guaranteed.
Yeah, it's always a headache.
It's a very big headache because then I don't know about you, but I never carry cash. I always have my card on me. So if I don't have my card, then I can't do anything. And so that's a very, very hard thing to go through. And I want to make sure that no one has to do that if they can avoid it.
Yeah.
So tips on how to stay safe online, social media, part 5. So this one talks about cyberbullying. Be careful who you talk to and chat online. We have 2 images on screen. One of them is of a person on their cell phone, and the images that they're receiving, it's like a skull, a broken heart, and a thumbs down, and it's kind of like a caution. And the other image is of a person very upset, heartbroken, and the screen is pointing fingers at them with not nice smiley faces and thumbs down. So cyberbullying is, it's not necessarily the best experience that we get online. Typically online is very safe, but there are opportunities where cyberbullying is when you're getting and receiving messages from an individual online that are not very nice, they're not very kind, they make us feel unsafe, sad, lonely, or angry sometimes. And so it's important to understand what your tips and that you're powerful, that you can decide if you want to speak to them or not. I know that sometimes the internet, it makes us brave. It makes other people brave because they're not talking to us in our face. And so someone behind a screen can say things that they want to say without necessarily thinking about the consequences. So, Deanne?
Yeah. So examples of cyberbullying could be sending mean messages or threats through email or text, posting mean and hateful messages on Facebook or other media outlets, and hacking into your account and posting bad things that can be embarrassing or mean. And I'm just gonna add this, is that that also, people are more likely now to do that because that is easy. You don't have to like see the person, so it's very easy to do stuff like that. But we encourage people to save the message and report them. Make your social media accounts private. Ask someone you trust to help, and add only people you know, and add people you only know and trust, and also block the people as well.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we don't do often when we're online, especially like Facebook or Instagram, we don't realize that we have all the control in this situation. When someone's not being nice to us and they're sending us messages or they're chatting with us or they're befriending us, we can just block them. We don't have to listen or deal with that. We don't have to be bullied. We don't have to do what they say, because just like they feel quote unquote powerful to say things to you, you have all the power and the control to be safe in your house or in your space and just block them, report the information, save the messages that they're sending you, so that you can report them later. And then also tell your safe person, like, hey, this is what's happening to me. I don't really like it. And if you don't find or can't find the block button, that safe person that is in your life can help you find that and navigate that. It's something that I tell my children all the time, especially as they get older. So I want to make sure that we all understand that we're powerful. We get to decide who we talk to and who we don't talk to. So this part is sort of kind of a refresher. It's just a couple of Q&A, questions and answers, where we hopefully some of the information that we shared today stuck and you remember some of it. So this on the screen, we have an image of what looks like kind of a criminal, literally like a cyber criminal. Yeah. He has a mask on and a hoodie, and he is looking through the internet for your passwords and all of that information and trying to steal your money and your information to sell on the dark web, I'm assuming. So Deanna, if you wanted to read the question.
So what we want to know, what we're going to ask is, what do you do if an email, what do you do when you get an email asking you to click on the link and log into your Facebook account? What should you do?
Should you A, click on it and log on to Facebook, B, type facebook.com and log on from your web browser? Do any of you want to just chime in? You can unmute yourself and say it.
Probably I would just B at its account. So
awesome.
Cool.
Yes, I think that's the best. That's correct. The thing that you never want to do is click on a link from your email. It's always safer because we don't know, right? Sometimes emails look like they're legit, they're from Facebook, but we don't really know if it's some person in a hoodie trying to get us to click on something. So if you get an email that says, hey, you should log into your account or whatever, just go okay, and then go into a new tab or go into a new web browser and type in the actual email address if you remember it. If you don't know it, then again, you can just Google Facebook and then it'll pop up, and then just log on from there, knowing that it's safe versus your email. Sometimes we're so consumed and with just clicking on things to make our life easier, but we don't realize that there are people out there trying to get our stuff. And like we discussed earlier, it's a headache to try to get it back and to just try to get new cards and the whole nine. So it's just easier to do it this way.
Yeah.
The next one that we have, how to avoid scams. On screen, we have another cyber internet kind of creepy, sketchy person. He is called phishing. He is phishing through your emails, and the image is of a person literally with a fishing rod with a mask on, going through your secured files or your unsecured files, because there's an unlocked image there, and just picking out the information that's important, like your social security number, your addresses, your medical records, all of that information that is so private to each of us. They're going through and getting it. So Deanne, did you want to answer?
Yeah. So the question that we have is, how do you check if the email you get is safe to open? Let's see.
Again, I think anyone who has the answer can maybe just unmute and answer it. The questions are: trust every email that comes to your inbox, or check the email addresses by hovering the mouse over the message.
I would choose B, check the email address by hovering the mouse over the message.
Awesome. Yes.
You'd be right.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the best way to do it. It's just always be very cautious when you're going through your emails. Just don't trust all the stuff that you're getting from. If you know, it's like, for example, if it's, if it's Joe at bhdh. gov or whatever my email address is, I always forget what it is. But if you know it, then you can trust it. But if you don't know who it is and it's someone random, you're very wary, it's better to just, check the email address by hovering, copying it, putting it into your Google or whatever search tool that you use, and to make sure that it's safe. The next one is how to protect your private information. On screen, we have images of the Facebook logo, Instagram logo, an image of a telephone, of an individual with looking for your location, another image of two people trying to keep everything secure or going through to look for unsecured information. So they're trying to get your login and your password. You're going through unsecured networks, and they're going through your emails and your personal information. Deanne, would you like to ask the
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, so should you post your phone number on Facebook or Instagram? And if so, or what if so, why? So should you post your number on a social media like Facebook and Instagram?
So it's a basic yes or no, and then if you have time and you know why, that would be cool to answer as well.
Yeah. Kelly.
Kelly?
No, absolutely not, because then the wrong kind of people get a hold of your number and you're more prone to scams and people calling you and bothering you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everyone's aware, currently there's this new thing where it's robots and chat GPT and all of this stuff where they have AI, which is artificial intelligence, where they pretend to be someone that you know, and they're asking you to send money. My tip to that is just say, okay, I'm gonna hang up and then call the person that they said that they were. So if it's like your mom or your provider or so your safe person calling you and saying, hey, I need help, I need you to send me money, you're gonna say, okay, give me a second, and you're gonna hang up and then call that person back and say, hey, do you still need that money? And if they say yes, then you know it was them. And if they say no, what are you talking about? Then you know it was a scam. It's happening a lot. It happens to everybody. And it's a very scary experience. So it's better to protect your information. Don't give out your phone number. Don't post it to anybody, especially if you don't know who they are. And if you do get a phone call from someone who pretends to be someone that you know, my best advice is to hang up and call them back and say, hey, do you still need my help? Do you still need money? Because then you'll know if it's them or not.
And the other thing now is with artificial intelligence, they're able to make people sound like people you know. So it's always best to call back. I mean,
Yes.
call the person directly.
Exactly. Don't call, yes, that's a good distinction, Deanne, that she made. Don't call back, call the person's phone number on your phone.
Right.
Yeah, because make sure you call their phone number, because you could be calling back to the person who's trying to scam you. So thank you so much. That's brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure to call them, go through your cell phone and go, hey, did you need my help? Because yeah, that would be very scary.
Yeah.
The next one is how to protect your private information. So this one's really interesting. We have two images on screen. One of them is of kind of general kind of Q&A thing that we get on Facebook sometimes. It's like, ask me a question. I don't know if you're on Instagram and someone will always say, hey, ask me a question. You can put in the information in. It gets tricky when sometimes these quizzes will ask for things such as your location or to show your location. The other image on the screen is of Facebook. And some of the this Facebook image has smaller images on it of quizzes, such as which one of your friends is a real blessing to you, or which one of your friends is a good or bad influence, or would you be the perfect spouse for you? Sometimes the quizzes on Facebook are like, what is your favorite Harry Potter character? I love those personally because I love Harry Potter. But yes, so go ahead, Deanne, ask the question.
Yeah. So someone sends you a fun quiz to find out which cartoon character you are. Do you take the quiz?
No.
No?
No.
No.
Why?
No.
No? No.
Uh,
Why?
Well,
They're so tempting. I can't tell you how much I want to know which Harry Potter house I'm in.
to be perfectly frank with
But-
you, though, some
I'm
of those
sorry?
quizzes, to be perfectly frank with you,
Yes,
some of those quizzes can be misleading, though, because
they are.
you describe who you are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are very misleading. And they're sometimes they can be very fun to take and they're silly. But to the point is yes, there are very misleading. Sometimes they pretend to be something and they're not. Or even if you take the quiz, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or bad or not, or if I'm actually going to be in that Harry Potter house, right? They're just,
Otherwise,
they're
you might end
mainly,
up being gullible.
yeah, they're not the best. They're fun, sometimes fun to take. But what they also do sometimes is they gather information about us that we don't realize that they're doing. And so just like we saw those images of that cyber person phishing for information, that's how this is another way for people that are not nice on the internet to look for information from us.
Yeah.
The next one is how to protect your information when you're chatting online. So on screen, we have an image of someone being surrounded by laughing and mean faces saying unkind things coming from a laptop, and the other photo of someone chatting with different people online. The next scenario is an example of about cyberbullying and what to do when someone is not being nice to you online. Deanne?
Yep. Thank you, Joey. You start chatting with someone online and is being mean, and they're being mean to you. What should you do?
Deanne, do you want to read the
Yep, I'll read that.
answers?
Yep. A, report and block them. Accept the behavior, and okay. So A is report and block them, and B is accept the behavior. What do you think you should do?
A.
A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely right. A lot of the times we're so conditioned to be nice and we don't want to be mean, so we just sort of accept it. Whether that's a cultural difference or not, or if it's just part of who we are, because we're just trying not to be mean. But sometimes when they're being mean and people are not being nice, it's okay to report them and it is okay to block them. And sometimes the sad part about this as well is that the cyberbullying can come from someone that we actually know. It can come from somebody that we trust and like. And if that happens, sometimes it feels weird to block them and remove them from our cyber life, but also it could be a nice way to remove them from real life if they're not a safe person. Boundaries are important just in real life, just as they are online. So anytime someone's being unkind to you in any way, remember you're powerful enough to be able to block them and report them, because it's important to set boundaries and let them know that it's not cool. I don't like that they're doing this to me. And also you could be saving the next person, right? If they're doing this to me, they may be doing this to somebody else. So we have to make sure that we understand that we're powerful in those moments.
And I want to add something to that, because I've done some classes where people have actually befriended people and been nice to them originally, and then over time have started being mean. So it's okay if that person was once nice to you, but now they're being mean. It's okay to still block them. Like, just because they were nice to you before doesn't mean that if they change, if their behavior changes, then you have to change with it. You don't have to accept it.
I love that. Yes, Deanne, I love that, because if the behavior changes, if we all remember anything, if it's okay to change, if the person's changed, if their behavior changed, we can change with them. And that often doesn't necessarily mean that they match. So if they're
Right.
being nice in the beginning and we're cool, that's fantastic. But if they're being not mean later, it's okay to say, you know what, I don't really like this anymore, and to block them. Nothing is more important than you feeling safe, and especially when it comes to cyber stuff is all mental and emotional sometimes, and it's not cool. It makes you cranky. I don't like it when someone's not nice to me. It puts me in a bad mood and I don't really like it. So in those moments, just block them. It distracts you from the good things in life. And so remember, the internet is supposed to be fun and safe and informative, not mean and scary and, sketchy.
Right.
So this brings us to the end of our presentation. On the screen, you will see two people looking for information on a laptop. We have our newsletter, which is a great resource to stay connected to what's the latest in DD news. And we also have a series on accessibility tools available to you that could be helpful when navigating the internet. Deanne?
Yep. There are many resources available to you to help keep you safe. The state of Rhode Island State Police Department has a list of resources both online and in person where you can go for helpful tips and report cyber crimes. Lastly, you can always ask a safe person to help and advise you in what to do.
Exactly. The State of Rhode Island Internet Safety Resource Site, there's a long list of things. They're both local and international. There's a way to report crime as well. So just remember that when someone scams you, it's a crime. When someone's being mean to you online, that's a crime. And that you're powerful enough to be able to report it in some way, whether that's blocking them or going onto this website and reporting the crime as well. So that's why it's important to save all the stuff that you get. If it's not nice, save it so that you can use it later to basically tell on them, and so that they don't do this to somebody else later.
And I was just gonna say, and then Kelly, I'll get, I see your hand up. I was just gonna say that you are there, everybody should have a safe person in their life and a person that you can trust. And so you want to make sure I just want to reiterate, say it again, that you want to make sure that if this is happening to you, that you go to them and you say, hey, this is happening and I need your help.
Yes, absolutely.
Kelly?
Also, yeah, don't ever make anyone make you feel like you're worthless or that you're not good enough. And also, you don't have to answer everyone's messages immediately. You can answer them at your own pace. And if someone doesn't respect that, you have to put your foot down and tell them, look, wait, you have to be patient. I might be busy sometimes. And if they don't respect that, then they're not worth it.
We
Yes.
always have that tendency, Kelly, right? To answer to answer right away, right? And so we don't always think about how we're gonna answer it. We just know we want to answer it. So that's a good point. That's a great
And
point.
don't harass people if they don't answer you immediately, because it's nothing personal.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that that's those are wonderful points. I mean, I'm an anxious individual, and sometimes I get like very testy. I'm like, oh, I don't want, I want an answer now, but at the same time, well, the other end of that is when I'm super busy and they want the same thing, I get very like, why are you on me? So I get it, and I totally understand, and that's a very good kind of, again, it's those boundaries that we have for ourselves. Whatever those are, make sure that you keep them not just in person and in your relationships, but also online. It's important to make sure that we create the boundaries that we want to set for online activity. Keep us safe. And that also doesn't also necessarily mean your bank account and stuff. It also means like emotional safety, right? And so this is a way to make sure that you're safe in that regard as well. So the last thing that we have for everyone is just to talk it out. We have a couple of minutes, not too much, but we want to learn from you. So Deanne, if you wanted to.
Yeah, so we definitely want to learn from you, and we definitely want to hear from you. So what are some of your experiences with the internet?
Also, what is one of the things that you've learned about this particular thing? If it's just one thing, whether it's as snug as a bug or block somebody, whatever that is, we love to hear it.
Bobby?
Actually, what I like to share with you about my experiences on the internet is about my unfortunate incident that occurred to me on Instagram, actually. So, what has happened is that someone impersonated one of my favorite country music artists, who claims who could give me a job, actually. And I almost got myself in trouble for accepting that, actually. He wanted my debit card information, he wanted my email and everything like that. So
did that that experience, right? Did that tip when they started asking you for your information, did that tip you off?
you could say I got a little bit scared, pins and needles. So
yeah, no, it's scary when people are asking you that, right?
I also was confused. So because a country music artist would never talk to me through Instagram that way either. No. So,
well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good point. I'm sorry that happened to you. I think that that's so scary, especially because we our music artists, they're kind of like our heroes. I mean, if Adele was like, "Hey Joe," I'd be like, "Oh my God."
Billy
I would
Joel,
totally
Huey
I
Lewis,
would be like,
yeah.
"Yes, I'd give you anything you want if you would just, say hello
I
to me
got
in
too
that way."
gullible, so.
No, I don't think it's anything specific. I think we're all very susceptible to being kind of taken advantage of online because, like we mentioned before, a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. We don't know who's behind the screen. And so it's important for us to just try to be safe. And yeah, so
I
is there one thing that you learned from this presentation that you could share with us that maybe resonated or that you remember?
I think the biggest thing I learned from this workshop is I need to start beefing up security too, whatever you're looking at information about. So, like for
Yes,
instance, I've been beefing up security on my bank account now, so that's good news.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
I do use a two-factor authentication. I will get a little bit of a number to type in, a new
Yeah,
password. You
change
cannot
your
do
password.
anything.
And
If there's any,
on that note, Bobby, I think what people don't know about Facebook is that you can do a second, like what do they call it?
Two-factor authentication.
Yeah, so you can do that to make sure that it's
That's a good
really
idea.
Kelly.
And a big thing that I learned is how to use public versus private Wi-Fi, because I don't always do that, and I need to stop. I need to practice safer internet browsing tips if I'm on my phone, because I don't want to be putting my information out there.
yes, that's a big one. I'm guilty of it all the time. Like I mentioned, I have 4 kids, and so I always online, and sometimes we're just scrolling and just want to go on Instagram, or I need to check my bank account and I need an internet now. But it's important for us to realize that 5 seconds or minutes of being anxious to check something can cost us a lot of headache down the road. So remember, when you're looking for email addresses, or it's S for snug as a bug, or safety for when you're shopping. Always use for the padlock for Wi-Fi, and to always ask where you are. Like if you're at a doctor's office, can I have your Wi-Fi password? And then just to block people. Block when you need to. Keep people away from you when you don't feel like they're being safe. And
The
then
block button
always,
is your best friend sometimes.
it really is. It truly, truly is. And then go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
I was like laughing. The block button is your best friend, and what else did I learn? And also I think another thing with scams, another red flag of a scam is if someone asks you for your credit card information and personal information, no, just block and run. Just block and run away.
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. It was block and run. I think it's for us to remember that, when we're shopping online and we're doing things, just try to be safe, be smart. And if you don't know, don't click on it. Ask someone. If you don't know where it's coming from, double check, Google it. If you don't know if it's a real company, Google, is this a real company? Sometimes that's all we need to do. So I hope this was helpful. I really had a lot of fun doing this with Deanne. I hope we get to do more things together. I know we had technical difficulties in the beginning, and I apologize for that, but I hope that it was okay and that everyone did learn something. So
I enjoyed presenting with you too, Joe.
thank you. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like us to answer really quickly? No? Okay.
No,
Thank you
no.
so much.
Well,
Thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful time in the next couple of hours and day for the conference.
yes.
Thanks for joining us at today's session. Visit our conference website to download the slides for this presentation and view other workshop recordings at www.advocatesinaction.org/2024SACONF. Produced by Advocates in Action Rhode Island, 2024. Remember, nothing about us without us.